Hello YouTubers, this is Corvette Kunash, and I'm here to show you one of my basses. I got this back in February for $1,500. The guy that sold to me was was actually asking for $1,800 at first. I got him down to $1,500 though. It's a 4001, 1978. Made in the US of A. Has all of its original hardware. The only thing that's missing is, of course, treble pickup cover. Everything else is original. Frets are in good shape. Neck is straight as an arrow. The only thing that's really needs to be replaced is the meat there. Meat's going bad. Foam's going bad. But let me talk about this bass a little bit. The 4001 was introduced in 1961 as the deluxe version of Rickenbacker's 4000 bass, which just had this pickup. It didn't have this one. They decided to add a neck pickup on the 4001 to give it a little bit more sound variety. And probably, in my opinion, to compete with the Fender Jazz bass, because the Fender Jazz bass had two pickups, and that was introduced a year earlier. So Rickenbacker, wanting to compete, introduced the bass with two pickups. And what else is different? Over the years, specifically between 1968 and 1974, Rickenbacker basses went through quite a few changes. In the late 60s, Rickenbacker basses received checkered binding at first. This one doesn't have it. It's a 1978 model. And not to mention the older ones, from all the way to 1974, the neck pickup was actually a half an inch closer to the fretboard. And in the early 70s, they introduced the Rico-Sound jack, which is basically a stereo output that allows you to send each pickup individually to separate amplifiers or separate effects or whatever have you, separate rigs, basically. And this was actually introduced after a popular bassist using a 4001 modified his bass for stereo. So my belief is they took an idea from Chris Squire and they added a stereo jack. And all Rickenbacker basses from the early 70s on today have the Rico-Sound on the bass. They also have a high pass filter put on here. It's a treble capacitor at the value of 0.0047, which sucks a lot of bottom end, but that was part of the Rickenbacker sound. I personally bypassed it by jumping a wire from both ends of the capacitor, so it just completely bypassed it. So I get more output from it now. The only thing, oh yeah, this screw right here is missing, but I'm not really worried about that. That's the least of my concerns. The finish on it's awesome. The only damages really on this bass are this crack right here, which has been repaired. A little wear on the finish right here. Someone try to put a strap on this bass before right here, although I find it to be rather useless. But overall, it's in very good condition. And just so you know, Rickenbacker basses don't sound like any other bass on the market, period. I don't care who you are, you're not going to get a Rickenbacker sound from a jazz bass. You think you can? You can't. I say this because I own a jazz bass. The person who's telling you who owns a jazz bass, it does not sound like a Rickenbacker. It remotely sounds like this pickup by itself, but this is still different sounding because it's got more mid-range and more clarity. It's not scooped as a jazz bass with both pickups, but it sounds pretty damn good by itself, and I like it. Both of these together sound really different from a jazz bass. So, don't get the idea. Now, these basses are all really notorious for one problem. The bridge. The bridge is the biggest fault of this bass. I'm going to agree with everyone who says this bridge is bad. It is bad. If you put your strings have too much tension, roto-sounds, anyone, you will actually start to see the tail. There's a little bit of tail lift on this bridge, but not much. I decided to put stainless steel strings like everyone else would usually do, but I use 30, 50, 70, 90. I don't use the standard 45 to 105, and I don't use Rico-Sound. I use Kurt Mangan. Less tension, better tone, and tone lasts longer, in my opinion. That's really about it. This bass is awesome. I have a few videos on YouTube that feature this bass on them. You don't actually see me playing the bass, but the recording of the bass is on my videos. Particularly the Subdivisions bass cover. If you check that out, you'll definitely hear this at its finest. And also check out the Rickenbacker 4001 pickup combinations and whatnot, whatever that video is. It has the pickups, the different pickups and the tones. It also features a Rico-Sound, so you can get an idea what that sounds like. And that's another thing. Rico-Sound sounds nothing like the mono jack. I don't care what anyone says. When both pickups are on, going to two different amplifiers, they sound nothing alike. So whoever said that they sound exactly the same is probably using the same freaking amplifier to do it, which means it's going to sound the same. But I guarantee if you run these in mono to the same rig, to a stereo rig, and then run them again separately, it will sound completely different. This is Corvette Kunass signing out.